Welcome back, everyone. Should be in for a good one today. We're on the 1290 Super G car. So it's actually going back to KTM today. I've had it for a week. I think I might have mentioned in a previous vlog, but basically I had the 890 Adventure and I wanted to do it back to back with the 1290 Adventure. But they didn't have a 1290 Adventure available for another week, so they said, why don't you just take the 1290 Super G car, because you haven't had one before, take it for a week and then bring it back and we'll give you the 1290 Super Adventure. Now, I don't really typically review this type of bike on the channel. I tend to focus more on like road bikes, so middleweight nakeds and adventure bikes and retros and that sort of thing. I'm not really into going like super fast myself, but come on, what would you do if you got offered one? You'd take it. Now, it's normally a bit of a motorway slog back to KTM, but I've come off the M4 because there's a little road that runs between Swindon and Wantage, and me and Tim rode it a couple of months ago now. We did that Trident versus Scrambler, our own two bikes. We did that video on this road, actually. Well, the riding footage is from this road. It's not like a particularly well-known biker road, but it's just halfway on my journey. I can come off the motorway here and then it starts to take me up towards Oxford. KTM are at Silverstone, so yeah, it's generally the right direction, and it just adds a bit of interest, a bit of twistiness to an otherwise quite boring journey. Unfortunately, it has been raining today though, so that's not ideal. And if I remember correctly, it was a bit gravelly and the road surface is sketchy in some parts, so we'll just have to see how we get on with this bike today. It is probably more suited to Tim's Ducati Scrambler than a 180 horsepower super naked, but we'll be all right. Fortunately, this bike has all of the nannying electronics that I'll probably need today. And I couldn't really find anywhere to mount my GoPro, so it's on the inside of the grip there. Not perfect, but it doesn't obstruct the clutch, thankfully. And where are we going here? And yeah, it's got a proper good quick shifter on this bike, so not bothered about the clutch anyway. One of those sort of cloudy, damp days. It's not really been properly raining, but it's just not, you know, sunny enough to dry out, and it has made the first part of my day somewhat chilly. I'm looking forward to getting on the 1290 Adventure, the Super Adventure rather, to ride back. That'll give me a bit of wind protection, thankfully. Oh, this bike just sounds fantastic, doesn't it? What a thing. I'm really hoping the 1290 Adventure is everything I like about this bike, but just in a more practical package. You know, it is still a bit of a changeable time of year for weather. You can't guarantee it's going to be warm. But also, a lot of the time at the moment, I'm going up and down the motorway to dealers and stuff to borrow bikes and lugging my camera gear around, and a sat-up position with this big backpack on is favourable. And also for the motorway stretches. I mean, this bike is fine for an hour. Wow, what a beautiful little spot. Where are we here? Bishopstone, I guess. Yeah, Bishopstone. And also just the geometry of an adventure bike. They're so much more stable on the motorway. I remember getting off the 890 Adventure and jumping on this when I swapped them over last week. And that's such a stable bike. And then it felt like very twitchy jumping on this. As soon as you get behind like a lorry on the motorway and you get a bit of buffeting, yeah, you do start to appreciate something a bit more straight line friendly. But for this kind of road, obviously you'd want to be on this. I wouldn't say the riding position is that extreme on this bike though. It is pretty comfortable, and it's not like you're properly tucked in like on some sportier bikes. And the nice thing is you're not really craning your neck. The B4507, that's the road that we're, oh god, that's the road we're following. I really notice it when I'm setting up the GoPro on my chest. If you're really far forward, you have to kind of point it up to get a view of the road ahead, but on this bike, not so much. This engine though, wow, effortless. 1300cc V-twin, absolutely sings, and it's just so smooth. Loads of power, absolutely everywhere. They say it makes like 86% of its peak torque, which is 140 Newton meters, so 86% of that is 120-ish. It makes that from 4,000 revs, so, you know, pretty low considering it will rev up to like 10.5, but the top end is absolutely crazy on this bike. I don't think I've got the surface or weather or space to explore it today, but the thing you can enjoy about it on the road is the absolute effortlessness. I think that's my conclusion for this bike, is it just feels like woohoo! What a bike. I mean, essentially on a road like this, you know, 60 limit, a few sharp corners, a few blind corners where you have to slow down a bit, you can pretty much just ride it in second or third. Oh, there's loads of gravel though in the middle of the road. Just had a little heart in mouth there. Oh, go away. Come on. I always get wildlife on these videos, creating perilous situations. Now, I've never ridden a, you know, Super Duke before, but I've been reading up, and you know, the opinions on the previous gens are that they're pretty hardcore and that they tried to give it better manners for this iteration. Honestly, I've got to say, I don't find it particularly hard work. I'm not pushing it, and perhaps that's where you start to find that it gets a bit scary. But as long as you're smooth and controlled with your inputs, honestly, it's not bad. I was just reading the reviews for the Speed Triple as well. MCN just did a group test with the Street Fighter V4 and this bike, and they absolutely panned the Speed Triple for being too harsh and focused. Now I'm getting one next week, so I'm looking forward to seeing how it compares. But honestly, this bike, I mean, it's far too capable for me and for the road. I'd want to be doing some track days on it, and if I wasn't, I'd be looking at the 890 Duke R as probably a better road bike. As you can hear, I'm not really shifting gear at all because you just don't need to. It's a bit like riding an electric. Closed ahead, follow diversion. This happened last time with me and Tim. Let's see how far I can get. If I can get to wantage, that'll be a result. I can turn off there. It's like I say, you can just leave it in one gear and go up and down the revs, and there's plenty of power. Oh my gosh. So tempting to get a shift on. But yeah, it's a bit like riding an electric. You can just do it on the throttle, which is a bit of a shame because the quick shifter is heavenly. It's so good. Road ahead closed, please. Oh, should have followed the diversion, shouldn't I? All right, we better go back. look at that view, absolutely beautiful. I've been so lucky recently riding all these incredible roads in this scenic places, and thanks for all the positive comments on these videos. I've been really enjoying making them. Well, like I say, I'm out riding anyway so that I can make the reviews, so may as well stick the GoPro on. Here we are again. Another beautiful little village. This is called Childry. This is properly worth a ride around here, and it looks like some nice little coffee shops and all that sort of thing. One thing that is a bit unusual about this bike is the placement of the dash. You know, you'll see from my chest cam that you can't see the bar clamps because the dash is actually mounted directly on top of them. Normally it would be a bit further out, wouldn't it? And I'm not sure why they've done that. Perhaps to keep this front end with that slanted back headlight, to keep that kind of looking flat. And from the side on, it does have a really sleek looking profile. Sometimes you do see that on bikes where the dash looks like it's sticking out a bit too much. And yeah, it doesn't look great. I mean, even my Trident from the side, I can see why some people put the fly screen accessory on to cover it up and neaten it up. But it does mean that it's located quite a bit closer to you, and despite the fact that the design of the, you know, the dash, the layout I suppose, is super clear, it does mean that you have to make quite a conscious glance down to look at your speed and revs and gear position. Now that could be a good thing if you like to just have a undistracted view of the road ahead, but practically for sort of like, wow, this is a stupid thing to say, isn't it? Because who's buying one of these for practicality? But you know, things like average speed checks where you've really got your eye on the speed all the time, you know, you do find yourself glancing down a lot. And also for going through the riding modes and stuff, you've got to be super careful about, you know, woohoo! Looking directly down at it, there's less in your peripheral view than there would be if it was mounted in that sort of traditional location, which is just behind the bars there. Honestly though, probably most people that buy this bike don't give two hoots or a hoot about how quick they're going. They just probably blast around on it and enjoy themselves. Really, that's the only little niggle that I've found about this bike. I did read that you have to pay extra for the quick shifter, and for a bike that costs like well over 15 grand, that is a bit of a sting, especially because it's so like track and sport focused. There are bikes at a fraction of the cost, not a fraction, but substantially cheaper bikes that come with them as standard now, so you would like to see that as standard fit. But otherwise I can see why this is the standard in the super naked category, or one of them anyway. Unfortunately, it has been a bit of a soggy week and I haven't been able to ride it quite as much as I'd have liked, and that's the problem when you have a bike for a week. If you get a bad one, then you don't get much opportunity to film with it. Fortunately, the Super Adventure I've got for 2 weeks, so that should be plenty enough, and it's a better bike for getting out in the wet anyway, probably. I've also got the 1250 GS at the moment, so it should be great riding those two bikes back to back. I really can't wait to compare the two of them. I must get hold of a multi V4 at some point as well. But yeah, this bike has really whet my appetite for the Super Adventure. I just love the engine, I love it. It's brilliant. Oh, my memory card just filled up on one camera. I forgot to format it. 6 deleted, go back. Alright, hopefully that's not ruined it. Anyway, like I was saying, this bike has just got me absolutely hyped for the Super Adventure. I love the flexibility of this engine and versatility, and the way it just feels like it's under no strain at all when it's slinging you out of a corner. We've just come through Wantage, I think, and I'm starting to head up towards Silverstone, Banbury kind of area. I'm guessing I am anyway. I think I might need to pull over and reprogram my beeline and figure this out properly, otherwise I'm going to be late for tea. Thanks for joining me though, as always. I really appreciate the support on this new channel. I hope you're all doing well. Let's all just pray that this streak of crummy weather is coming to an end and we can all start to enjoy a bit of sunshine and dry riding. Let me know how you're getting on down in the comments below, and I'll see you. Wow, what have we got next? I think it'll be the 1250 GS. I'll find a nice road on Monday to do something cool with that, and I'll see you then.